Good evening, everyone. My name is Andreas Sabi. I'm the Deputy President of the Berlin School of Economics and Law. And on behalf of the entire university and on behalf of our President, Professor Reissert, who can't be here tonight because he's representing our university at a conference in St. Petersburg in Russia right now, a warm welcome to all of you. I'm very glad you're all here. We're truly delighted to have such a distinguished group of economists here tonight and also for the following days, representing such a wide variety of different academic associations. I'm especially happy that this conference has been based on an initiative by students. I think that's fantastic, and has been, of course, supported by several of the associations who are part of the team. I think that the topic of this conference makes for a very good fit with what we stand for here at the Berlin School of Economics and Law, and that is, of course, teaching economics. We are very much committed to teaching economics. We have a bachelor's program in economics, as many of you know, but you might not be familiar with the fact that we also have a whole range of master's programs in economics at this university. That includes a master's program in international economics and also a master's program in political economics of European integration. And in addition, we also have continued education master's programs here at this university, including internationally oriented programs such as the Chinese European Economics and Business Studies, and also a program in global labor relations for trade union activists. In addition, there's also an Erasmus Mundus program at this university that we're very proud of being a part of. It is an Erasmus Mundus under the coordination of the University of Paris 13 on economic policy in the age of globalization. So you can see economics is an important part as a standalone subject, standalone study programs, but of course economics is much more to us because economics is also a cornerstone in many of our other programs as minors or introductory classes. The Berlin School of Economics and Law is one of the largest universities in Germany when it comes to teaching business administration. And as you might be aware of, business administration in Germany includes quite a significant dose of economics, at least at the beginning. And I think we are very well advised to keep that up and to keep economics in the curricula of business administration and also in the curricula of public administration, which is another one of our focuses here at the university. Ever since the memorable evening of September 15, 2008, I remember it very well. It was my 40th birthday, but that's probably not why you would remember that evening. It was, of course, the filing for bankruptcy of Lehman Brothers. A big debate has been raging globally about what we need to change when we teach economics. And I know that you here at this conference will review and you will build on the discussion that has evolved ever since. And I would just like to add a few comments from my side. What I think we believe and we're convinced of here at the Berlin School of Economics and Law is that we should integrate a global perspective into all of our teaching in economics. I think that we're also very well advised in including sustainability and ecological topics into our teaching in economics. And personally, I also think that we should have a strong view on social responsibility when it comes to teaching economics. I think this is a suggestion for your further discussions. I think we should not only think about the content, of course, that is an imperative, but I think we should also discuss how we want to teach economics, just as much as talking about the content. And a few recommendations that I have, and I would really cherish your to learn about your results. Would be to think about new methods in the area of e-learning, online classes. I would also like to hear suggestions from you when it comes to virtual international classrooms where we could have debates across economics classes in different countries at different universities. Maybe this could serve as a little food for thought for some continued debate here in this group. Anyway, we all look forward to your results, and I hope that we will be able to integrate your results into the teaching here at the Berlin School of Economics and Law and elsewhere. I wish you a very insightful discussion and an inspiring discussion. We have some fantastic keynote speakers here tonight. We have also other keynote speakers and panels in the coming days. And I am absolutely convinced that this is going to be a fruitful conference. I wish you all the best. And perhaps you will also have a little bit of time to enjoy the city of Berlin. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good evening also from my side. I'm Markus Wissen. I'm the co-director of the Institute for International Political Economy here at the Berlin School of Economics and Law. I'm also a member of the Institute for Sustainability, which is also an institute here at the university. And these two institutes, the IPE and the Institute for Sustainability, are co-organizers of this conference. And as member of these institutes, I wish to welcome you to this conference. I wish to welcome you on behalf of my co-director too, Eckhard Hein, who is the co-director of the IPE here of the Berlin School of Economics and Law. Both institutes, the IPE and the Institute for Sustainability, coordinate the research and teaching activities on political economy and ecology here at our university. The staff is mainly composed by post-Keynesians, feminists, Marxists, by ecological economists and other heterodox people. We believe that this is an adequate institutional setting for this conference, for a conference which aims to promote pluralist thinking in economics and social sciences. What both institutes try to do is indeed what is also the subject of this conference: producing knowledge for a fundamental social transformation which is adequate to cope with the multiple crisis phenomena we are currently experiencing. The socio-economic crisis which fosters social inequality, the various international crises of which the refugees coming to Europe seeking shelter in Europe are very visible expression at the moment. The ecological crisis for which the rich countries and the upper classes bear the responsibilities but not the consequences. And the crisis of democracy, which, as we could see in the austerity treatment of Greece by a German-dominated coalition this year, seems to result in more and more authoritarian politics at the moment. That we have the opportunity to discuss how economic and social science research and teaching can contribute to coping with these multiple crisis phenomena is the merit of a students' initiative, the Network on Pluralist Economics. Andreas Sabi has already mentioned them. It is this network which has achieved to challenge the neoliberal thinking at the universities in a way that it cannot be ignored anymore, even by conservative media. I guess there is a strong resonance of this network and its politics, its ideas in media like the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, like the Handelsblatt, which is a conservative spectrum of the media, but nevertheless they take account of what has been initiated by this pluralist network of students of economics. As a political scientist, I needed some time to understand why the network chose to focus this conference on economic textbooks. However, after having read a sociological analysis of economic textbooks, it became clear to me, in contrast to my discipline, to political science, textbooks in economic science strongly shape worldviews, they define what is thinkable, and they marginalize competing forms of knowledge. Most of you will be quite familiar with a quotation with what Paul Samuelson, the probably most successful economic textbook writer, once said. He said, "I don't care who writes a nation's laws or drafts its advanced treaties if I can write its economic textbooks." Against this background, textbooks are indeed a good and an appropriate entry point to challenge the hegemony of a neoliberal thinking in universities. I wish to thank the network on pluralist economics for initiating and for the most part also organizing this conference. Furthermore, I'm very grateful to the co-organizers for their cooperation. You see in the program that we have a lot of co-organizing organizations which have prepared this conference. And not least, I want to thank my colleagues from the administration of our university for their various support which has made this conference possible. We, my colleagues from the Institute for International Political Economy and from the Institute for Sustainability are happy to have you all here, and we are looking forward to 3 days of intensive and productive discussions. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I'm also honored to be part of this very important conference, and I congratulate the organizers for having put together an impressive program, and I hope the conference will further promote pluralism in economics, which I believe is clearly needed, especially in the German context. Economics as a discipline is clearly in a state of crisis. The mainstream textbook economics, based on the fiction of rational economic agents and efficient markets, have clearly failed to foresee the global financial crisis, which started in 2007, and it cannot explain its underlying causes. But although various deviant schools of thought have always been critical of the mainstream free market economics, the Great Recession came as a big surprise also to many heterodox economists. In my view, the lesson to be drawn from this is not that the previously dominant free market paradigm should be replaced by one alternative monolithic paradigm, but rather that we need a new culture of interested pluralism, as my colleagues Leonhard Dobusch and Jakob Capella put it. As Kurt Rothschild, the great Austrian economist who died exactly 5 years ago, argued, quote, "A plurality of paradigms in economics and in social sciences in general is not only an obvious fact, but also a necessary and desirable phenomenon in a very complex and continually changing subject. Depending on circumstances and the problem to be tackled, different approaches or a combination of them have to be used in order to be able to get nearer to the faraway truth." End of quote. Economics textbooks are a very peculiar and extremely influential kind of document. In fact, it can be argued that few other documents have a greater impact on a society's zeitgeist than economics textbooks. Few people actually do a PhD in economics or come even close to understanding the latest research in today's highly technical and specialized economics. But almost everyone, including, of course, the politicians who have to take the important economic policy decisions, will at some point be confronted with at least some basic teaching in economics. This is especially true when economics is taught as a subject at the high school level, which is increasingly the case in different German states. I didn't know what Markus Wissen was going to say, so I included in my short speech the same quotation as he did by Paul Samuelson, author of the most successful economics textbooks of all times, The Principle of Economics. And so I'm repeating his quotation. Samuelson, or I'm paraphrasing it, he didn't care who wrote a nation's laws or crafts its advanced treatises if he could write its economics textbooks. The problem, of course, is that many of the economics textbooks used in university teaching display a clear lack of pluralism and often promote a very one-sided neoclassical or indeed neoliberal view of the society we live in. In this respect, I believe that we, as academic economists, can learn a lot from the German tradition in social sciences education at the high school level, which explicitly emphasizes the importance of pluralism. In fact, high school textbooks in the social sciences officially have to abide by the so-called Beutelsbach Consensus, Beutelsbacher Konsens, which was established in the 1970s and which states that all textbooks to be used in the classroom must emphasize the controversial nature of social and economic matters. Monoparadigmatic textbooks, which we know are common practice in university teaching, are inconsistent with the Beutelsbach consensus and will, at least in theory, be banned by the public authorities at state level in Germany from being used in the classroom. But of course, we know that nowadays even high school textbooks are contested territory, and examples of one-sided teaching materials abound. In fact, many teaching materials are financed by employer associations, large corporations, or other lobbyists. In my view, the rapid expansion of privately teaching materials that you can find online clearly poses a threat to the Beutelsbach consensus and certainly is as problematic to our democracy as the lack of pluralism in the economics curriculum at the university level. This is also the reason why the institution that I'm representing here today, the FGW, I'll say it only in German, Forschungsinstitut für gesellschaftliche Weiterentwicklung, made a strategic decision to support research and transfer activities in the field of economics education at both university level and at high school level. Let me say a few words about the FGW. The institute was founded in Düsseldorf 1 year ago, and its activities are coordinated by a group of 8 professors of different social sciences. The institute's aim is to offer a platform to the plurality of research approaches in the social and economic sciences and to promote a continuous dialogue between academia, politics, and non-governmental organizations. The FGW is supported by the Ministry of Innovation, Science and Research of the German state of North Rhine-Westphalia. We currently fund research in 4 areas: the digitalization of work, preventive social policies, integrative urban policies, and new economic thinking. A first call for research proposals will be published in a few weeks in December. And in the area of new economic thinking, we are especially interested in innovative approaches to pluralistic economics education at both high school and university level. In general, we are very open and keen to working together with other institutions, like the ones that you are representing here tonight, that share the objective of making economics more pluralistic and more useful for promoting basic principles of equity, social cohesion, and participation. We are therefore very happy to be able to support this conference with the ambitious title, Teaching Economics in the 21st Century. I am very impressed that the organizers managed to bring together people from so many different institutions working in so many different fields of economics and economics education. I'm sure that the paper presentations and discussions will be stimulating, but that we will also have enough time for discussing ideas and potential collaborations during the coffee breaks and dinners. So thanks for your attention. Enjoy the conference.
Good evening, dear conference participants. Can you hear me? Is that on? Okay, good. The idea of this conference was born more than 1 year ago, when some of the organizers and some of you, actually, some people sitting here in the audience, were sitting together and talking of strategic perspectives of heterodox and pluralist economics. And in this discussion, one word was mentioned that we usually say almost automatically when we talk of strategic perspectives, and this word was cooperation. But then somebody said, yeah, okay, cooperation is great, but we cannot just always talk of cooperation and post on our websites that we're mutually support each other. We need to do cooperation. We need to do things together. We need to work together in concrete projects. We need to meet in person and get to know each other better. And then we can converge as heterodox and pluralist economics. So this conference today is a step into this direction. And we're very happy and very excited that you all came to this conference to participate in this event and to do some steps on this road of cooperation.
Yes, cooperation in our view is necessary because this one question we can only answer together. How to teach economics in the 21st century? How do we teach and study economics as a science that helps us understanding and facing the problems of the world we live in with its multiple crises and challenges? We think that the economics we need is open, critical, diverse, enthusiastic, and pluralist. We need transdisciplinary cooperation with other social sciences and with public education and with education in schools. We need a strong involvement of the students' movement for radical change in economics, and we need strong international ties to students, researchers, lecturers, civil society who have the same aims worldwide. We tried to organize a conference following these principles with the help of your contributions. There's kind of a storyline in the program. We will start tomorrow morning with sessions discussing the very basics. What's the role of pluralism for economic teaching? What's wrong with academic teaching in the status quo? And what's the status quo of our teaching programs and in research? Which normative principles are there to guide our teaching?
But we'll also go into more details. Some sessions are tied to specific schools. For example, how to teach post-Keynesian economics. We'll have a discussion on critical, innovative macroeconomic textbooks that are actually already available. We'll discuss why and how to teach critical political economy in an economics curriculum, and how to teach microeconomics from a critical and pluralist perspective. So these will be sessions focused on specific courses, books, or schools. But of course, we do not want to maintain the separation of specific courses or schools. We also want to foster debate among representatives from different backgrounds. So we'll discuss, for example, how introductory material should be designed, or what common ground we can find from the perspective of different schools like ecological economics, feminist economics, or post-Keynesian economics, and on which key teaching points we can agree. We'll also discuss teaching international economics, political economy with inputs from different sides, and have a discussion of alternative economic modeling.
Yes, but not only the what will be discussed, but also the how. We will debate how to create the conditions for pluralist economic education and talk about alternative teaching concepts and philosophies. There will be a debate about how to teach critical teaching in times of social change with representatives from politics, labor unions, academia, and church. Students from Rethinking Economics and the German network Pluralist Economics show how they contribute to pluralist teaching through online projects and through organizing their own lecture series and courses. Finally, there are lectures who tell about their experiences with doing teaching differently and very creatively.
Besides all these contributions from your side, we'll also have some invited speeches. The first one will start in a few minutes. Sheila Doe will give the first keynote speech on a fundamental question. Pluralist economics, is it scientific? Tomorrow afternoon, we'll have 3 textbook authors who will discuss with Ulrike Herrmann about economic textbooks after the crisis and if and how they have changed or should change. Robert Skidelsky will argue why we need a reformed curriculum. And finally, on Saturday, Silja Graupe will open the final strategy debate on Saturday afternoon with a keynote on economics as a textbook science, critique, and alternatives.
Yeah, and we of course hope that you will all join us then on Saturday afternoon to discuss the way forward with regards to economic textbooks and to the cooperation among all of us. There are many ideas worth discussing and pursuing. We have raised the idea of creating teaching material and writing textbooks together. All these questions of strategic and immediate cooperation will be discussed at the end of the conference in the strategy debate session, so don't miss it.
Before giving the word to Sheila Doe now, we should all thank some people who made an enormous effort in organizing all the practical concerns of this conference. Some of them are not even here right now. They are sitting at the registration desk, but let's thank them nevertheless. Annalena Hahn and Theresa Neef organized all the fundraising, catering, and drinks. Teresa, in addition, took care of the finances, and imagine that 10 organizations wanting to spend money, and she was the only person trying to keep the accounts safe. Lara Berger, thank you very much for organizing the conference dinner. Lino Zedis made sure that we have our keynote speeches videotaped. And finally, we have Fred Heusner, Jakob Hafele, Antti Dimmelmeier, and Janina Urban, who made a great effort in inviting the press and keeping the external relations up to date. And then, of course, there are many more people contributing with little and not so little details during the conference. Thank you all very much for making this event possible.